Well, hello, Sunday night, last one in October. I don't know about you, but I'm like, what? It's crazy. Anyways, thank you so much for coming, and for you guys that are listening on a replay, amazing. Some of you have heard this message before, but I feel like because no one else is talking about it, you really can't hear it enough, right, Elaine? Like every time you just pick something new up, I feel like I think it's just a message that, I wish more people were talking about it, because then you'd hear it more often. So how many people here, and I know some of you quite well, but still, how many of you like have been in physio, like if you haven't been working with me yet, for years or decades even? Tell us in the chat. Is this anybody here that has been trying to do various things? Sometimes it's physio, sometimes it's like digestive things, sometimes, different types of treatments like this. So we got 3 years. And did it? Yes. Okay, cool. So this often happens with my clients. Like I often hear that from them. Right from the get-go, before we even get started. Oh, wow, 20 years. See, this is the thing. Like, it's not an unusual thing, what people are saying, like, with 20 years. When you're doing something for 20 years, it's not actually giving you what you're looking for. Like it may have served a purpose, 100%. And we're going to go over that. But you got to kind of look at it, even a year, 2 years, 5 years, like, you know what I mean? It's time to look at something else. And this is what we're going to talk about tonight. It's that something else that right now is missing, like everywhere. Like I don't meet people. Now, granted, it is fair to say that I meet people that are having symptoms and are in trouble, but I don't meet people that tell me otherwise. Like this is a very, very common thing. And then when I explain things and we get to a result extremely quickly, we know that it was, that part was missing. So I had a client, I wanted to just tell you right off the bat, this one. I had a client, and I believe this is like a year ago or so. This is like, her story is not uncommon. It's happened a couple of times, but I happened to be texting with her today. When I met her, she actually could not sit. Like it hurt her to sit. This has happened a lot. I've had many instances, many clients in this kind of situation, but she was having trouble with everything then. She was having trouble working because, she couldn't sit, and even standing was an issue. Like everything was just painful. And it seems, on the surface, you might think, you can't sit, so what? But it actually, like, it's pretty debilitating for your life, right? She had done physio for a very long time, and this was still continuously going on. So when she started with me, I do what I always do, which are my steps that we're going to discuss tonight. So we went through breathing, yes, but the most important part, we went through alignment. And this is what always happens to me. Like the alignment piece is always new to people. It's not like they already know it or it was also taken up. Like it's always not taken up. It's missing. And then people have these really debilitating pains for 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. Anyway, she did my program. Even like, week 1, things were going good already. 1 month in, she was like glowing reviews. The program is 3 months. So by then she was just completely out of pain. Now it's like a year later, she's maintaining it herself. This is what she says to me today. Hi, Nicole, thanks so much for thinking of me. Okay, because I reached out to her, right? I think of you too and still enjoy your posts on Facebook. I'm doing great. I learned so much from you and I will always be grateful. She says there's a Pilates studio that opened near her and she's going there. They even have Pilates cardio and she loves it. She goes, I don't have pelvic pain anymore and I don't have any back pain anymore either. She says, I still do the weight training you taught me. It's amazing how the body can repair itself when we're doing things correctly. Thanks so much for all you taught me. This is what I live for. And this is what I want for each and every one of you. It's like, I'm saying something that's different. Nobody else is saying it yet, but the results are also different. Like that result that's everybody for me, like no pelvic pain anymore, no back pain anymore. This wasn't her situation, but no leaking. I have another client, younger, like she's older. I believe she was like 65, something like that. But I had a young client too, 35, recently, 6 years physio, 6 years back pain and leaking, couldn't get rid of it. We do the same system. Back pain gone, leaking gone. Like it is this thing, this alignment that I'm talking about that is wildly missing. I'm so excited because I got so much stuff to share with you, but I got to now get started. I just get carried away. But who here doesn't know me? Should I just take 3 minutes and just start with that? Just introduce myself really quick. Go like this or you're like, no, we know you. Stop. We know you already. Get to the good stuff. Well, let me just tell you really quick in case there's somebody that's putting their thumbs up that can't see. So I'm Nicole. I have been a strength training coach for 30 years. But when I had my babies at 34 and 36, they were 9-pound babies, but that's neither here nor there. I was an extremely fit person, went into my pregnancy fit, came out of it fit, but I didn't know anything about the pelvic floor. I was very much the way you probably are tonight, or have been. I knew nothing. And this is a fitness professional, 15 years in. Like I'm a very hard studier. Like I love taking courses, and I would take courses, especially when I was young. And I would take courses like almost monthly, and never heard the word pelvic floor, never heard any of these things, never heard about alignment, like nothing, right? At that time, we would do the thing that I talk about, and I'm going to talk about tonight, that this like isolated treatment of things. So you'd learn about knee pain, and we're in an isolated way addressing the knee. And this is also what's happening with the back, with the pelvic floor, with the hip, all the problems that we have. Anyways, because I hurt myself after giving birth and then working out like a fiend, not knowing the things that I know today, I got in big trouble, right? And this often happens, right? You go through a journey, and by the way, this journey was not short because the information was, it still is hard to find, isn't it? Because, until you find me, then it becomes easy, but it's hard up until that point. But back then it was I would say it was worse. And it took me probably 10 years, if not 15 years, to get to the point where I am now, putting everything together. It had to be essentially discovered and put together and train it, test it, do it on people. And then, slowly the pieces started coming together to now I just have this like literal plug in, start, do it step by step, and you get results, which is really, really awesome, right? So that's what I want to talk about tonight. So, okay, let's start with the very basic, the core. What is the core actually? The core is front, back, attached, we're talking inner layer, pelvic floor. So that's important. That's an important piece there. So that's why I'm pointing it out. The bottom is attached here to the front and attached here to the back. And then we have the diaphragm on top. So this entire thing is the core, like all of this, right? The core is not just this. It's the whole thing. And right now, majority of people, and actually, let me ask you a question. Tell me in the chat, who here actually feels, because people say this to me a lot, who here feels my core feels weak? Like who has that feeling or thought that their core feels weak? Tell me in the chat. Because that's normally almost 9 out of 10, if not 10 out of 10 people are saying that to me on consultations. Nobody. It's Sunday night, so I think most people are going to be on replay. So on the replay, they're like, me, but we don't know that
Diana
yet.
said yes.
Oh, did she? I'm sorry, I didn't see it. Okay, cool. This is common. Like maybe some of you aren't knowing how to work the chat, but very often this is the case, right? People feel like that. Why? That's what that's the next part. So the core, like I explained, it's this entire cylinder here. Okay, the whole thing is the core. Most people don't know that. They think maybe it's just this. They think this little piece is the core, but that's not true. This whole part is the core of the body, and it's supposed to work together. So when the core of the body is working, this is how it works. Person takes in a breath, every breath, while you're thinking or not thinking, like just every single breath. Person takes in a breath, all this fills with air, like, right? And then the pelvic floor gets a message also because it's part of this cylinder. And then when the person exhales, it happens fast, the pelvic floor gently contracts up, and automatically this contracts together and this contracts together. So it looks like this. Inhale, relax. Exhale, gently contract. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. Let me show you in real life. So it looks like this. Inhale, exhale. Now I'm showing you slowly, right? But that's only for illustration purposes. But really, I'm doing it right now as I'm talking because I'm still breathing and I'm aligned. So my body just does this automatically. But here is what happens to people. And it was happening to me before too. It's just, I'm not like that anymore. Most of us have this type of posture, right? Mm. Who here identifies with that? You can just even put your hand up. You don't have to do the chat if you don't want to do the chat. Yeah. Or sometimes people are like this, right? That their pelvises go out like this. But the point is, a lot of us have these kind of shoulders. Give this a shot.
I thought these were healthy. I thought these were wonderful.
If you bring your shoulders forward like this, and you try to take a breath, like literally try it with me, because I want this to be logical and for you to know it in your heart. I'm not just talking philosophical things that you're like, okay, I have to believe her. I want you to know it for yourself. So shoulders forward, inhale. And what you'll see is that the breath is stuck right here, right? So that is problem number one. Because if the breath is stuck there most of the time, or all of the time, because sometimes with these rolled forward shoulders, they're like that permanently. It's not like sometimes they're rolled forward and sometimes they're up, right? They're just here 24/7 for 10 years, 20 years, 30 years. So the breath gets stuck here. So that whole mechanic, inhale, exhale, now it's like this. There's like no movement, right? So we have a pelvic floor and actually a core in general that's not active. It's dormant, you could say. It's like this. So over time, this, like any muscle, right? Like if I never do anything with my bicep, I just leave it like that, it's going to atrophy. So die off essentially, right? So that's what's happening to the pelvic floor. So that's why a lot of people have mild symptoms at first. They're like, oh yeah, it's not so bad. I pee once in a while. I mean, I think any amount of pee is bad, but that's because I don't like the smell of pee that much on an adult. I don't know. but yeah. That's the thing. I was all in the joking. Now I lost my train of thought, but see, that's the thing. So that's what's happening. We have this pelvic floor that's like this. And then all of a sudden, you're trying to do something. Maybe you're lifting like a grandchild or your child, or you're lifting something in the garden or your groceries or whatever. And then you leak, right? Because that pelvic floor is like this. It's not actively, synergistically working all day. And then when you lift your child, grandchild, groceries, or whatever, that pelvic source is like, oh, I got you. Like, I know how to go with you and be productive, essentially. So that's problem number one. Now, let me just back up here, because we're not back up, but stop here for 2 seconds, because I want to share something with you. This is a posture that I can't easily get into, thank goodness. But I want to share it with you. So this is a current client. So when she started with me, and it's been a couple of weeks, do you guys see here what's happening here? Right? Like, it's significantly deep. This person has a lot of trouble sitting. She has a lot of trouble standing. Her back is just in pain and spasms all the time. Now, she's been going to physio for 2 years prior to meeting me. And what do? They release quads, and then they work on hips, but ongoing. So actually, I don't know how often she goes, but every time she goes, that's what they're releasing. And it's been going on for 2 years. But when she arrives to me, she arrives looking like this. So yes, when she gets like quads, maybe it's hamstrings too, and hips released, so addressed, right? It does relief, because right now it's super tight from being in this position. But as soon as she gets up from the table and goes to her car, this is her posture. So that releasing that was done goes away pretty much in, like, I don't know how fast, because bodies are different, but you can see what I'm talking about, right? Like, that release cannot stay, because the body is like this. So as she stands up, goes back to her life, maybe it lasts a day or two, but then it tightens back up, right? Or who knows, it could even last a month. It depends on the body, but just see my point. It can't last forever, because it's this. So she struggled a little bit in the beginning, because her body, like, it's so much. I don't know if you can see it as clearly as I can see it. To me, like, it almost hurts me just to look at it. So yes, her body was complaining when we were releasing, because this is the step that I do after we go over alignment. We release with a foam roller, and then I also use like a trigger ball. My trigger ball, look at it, it's all chewed up because my dog got it. And then I sometimes use a foot one too, depends. But we're releasing the trigger points, the tight parts with that. Because if this person, like this, strength trains, they will hurt themselves with every single rep and make the situation worse. Because those muscles, her muscles in her body, in order to stay like that, like, not that it wants to, but it's stuck there, those muscles are like this. They're hanging on tight, 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 tight. If she continues, she's fairly young, the problems would just start to add up, because the body doesn't just say, oh, here's your hint, and that's your hint for life. No, the body gets louder and louder and louder, especially if you're adding activity to it. But anyway, so I had to like coach her through a little bit, and like said, okay, just continue. This is going to work, just like, and then I would advise her what to do. Like, we would not roll the glutes, because she wasn't ready. So it's like combing your hair. If your hair's all knotted, you comb down here, and then you comb up a bit, and then up a bit. You can't just go and comb through. It's the same analogy. So that's what I did with her, right? We started with the foot, we did the calves, we did the quads, and then slowly we started getting to the hip and the glutes. This is her like a couple of days ago. Now, it's not the way I want it yet, but she's mid-program. But it's like, it's such a big difference. Tell me in the chat if you can see what I'm talking about. This is what I'm trying to get at here. This person, if she didn't meet me and start this process, that physio, not that it's wrong, because it has a purpose, and she should go now, because now when she releases those muscles, like, I can't release the same as a physio can. So now when they release it, now we have something to work with, because she has the formula in order to change her body, right? What's causing the pain to begin with. But if she didn't meet me, if she wasn't doing this process, this would just stay like that and the problem would not go away. Like it literally, physically, scientifically, anatomically, however you want to say it, cannot go away. Like, is that not what the F? How come we don't know this? I don't know, but we don't. And it's missing everywhere. And we're kind of in an isolated way treating, oh, the hamstrings are tight, let's treat that. Oh, the quads are tight, let's treat that. Oh, the pelvic floor is tight, let's treat that. But we have this posture. So it's missing what's actually going to solve it. Now, hear me, because I'm not saying don't do physio, because that's not true. One should still do that, because physio and me are two different things. We actually work together like best friends. You need both things. Although I do train a lot of people who I just train them from scratch. But the deeper the problem is, physio is highly recommended. My point is, this needs to be addressed to truly change and heal and move forward. Tell me in the chat if this is making sense, if you feel like this, if this posture resonates with you. Tell me in the chat. I'll give you a second and then I'll look up another one here. I had it ready to go. Oh, actually, it's Elaine's. This was Elaine. She's in her 80s, 80 some years young, gorgeous lady inside and out. But look at her. So her posture is actually a little bit subtle, I think, and you might think so too. But when you look at this beginning photo, you can see like the whole body is kind of like squashed forward a bit, right? Shoulders are forward, the belly is let out like this. There's no activation here in the core. This is what I meant in the beginning by the core feeling weak. And then this is her at the end of the 4 months. And also pain subsided, and she's just, you know, doing really, really well. And you can see, right? And this is at 80 years old. Like, I think that is so exciting. It's like, it's never too late. You know what I mean? It's like, I don't know. I find that I love that so much, which is why I'm sharing that one. Again, same thing, like her pain would have just continued if she's in this posture, if she's, and that was what was happening, if I remember correctly. She was exercising, but in this posture. That happens to a lot of people, right? You don't know. This is what happened to me when I got hurt after my babies, but I'm sure it was started before that. I just didn't know. So when you exercise in this posture, you're reinforcing that posture, right? So it is gonna cause more pain, more forward fold roller. The core is not activated, so there's no protection for the front, the back, the pelvic floor. You know, this body is completely different when it shows up for her workouts. So yeah, so those are, that's the way I wanted to share posture with you tonight. I want to invite all of you to, like, we're going to talk about something at the end there, but if you get a call with me, then also in Messenger or email, like there's emails, you have access to my email if you're here. Send me a photo of you standing side profile like this and just stay, okay, like my posture is good, right? But stand natural. So don't correct, just literally stand the way that you always are. Oopsie daisy, what did I just do? I was trying to let people in, but okay, here we go. And then when you're done that picture, send me a photo of you getting into alignment, but what you think is alignment, except I'm going to help you a little bit right now.
Oh, look. Oh,
oh, I love that. Isn't that the great thing about Zoom. Okay, so first picture is natural. Second picture, this is what I want you to do. Soften your knees, because a lot of us will have locked knees. Now look what happens to my hip when I lock my knees. Watch. Do you see that? Now it's angled forward. So I also have a bit of a tilt this way now, angled forward. And if I soften my knees now, I can get into alignment. So that's what I want. Soften knees slightly. Try to wiggle your hip and do what you think is alignment. So not out like this, and also not under like this. So in the middle, and then shoulders lift, roll, scalp in the pocket, and neck is up also. And then send me a photo of you in your best attempt at alignment. Okay, so that's a little bit of tips on it, but it's not super important that it's perfectly done. It's already going to give us tons of information for what we need for the purposes of a good assessment to see where you're at. So you're all invited, and the people in the replay also, to do that. So we can have a call on that, but show me the pictures, because then we're going to take them up, and then this is going to help you tremendously, because you don't know what you don't know. That woman that I showed you with the anterior pelvic tilt, like, she had no idea, right? And that's usual, but it's so obvious when you are pointed out, but yet we don't know because it's our body. So we're like, to us, it's normal, right? But it's causing a ton of pain. And then the future isn't super bright either, unless we reverse it. So that's where I'm at. I work on this, the breathing that I explained. We go deep into alignment. Like, I'm just going to start it with you, but I go very detailed in it because it's that what we're focusing on. Now, when you try, let's say right now, where you're sitting, or you stand up later, you go to the fridge, whatever, and you're like, okay, Nicole said for me to be in alignment, so let me do that. I'll just take my shoulders back, and then you walk to the kitchen like this. How long can you maintain that? Maybe 5 seconds, right? 10 seconds, not more than that. So that isn't actually a thing. Just telling someone to fix their posture is, well, frustrating, actually, right? Because the person knows that that's not a thing. Because actually, that's not new information for anybody. Everybody here knows that you should have good posture. You don't know maybe why. I've explained, but the holding it like that is not a thing. And that's where the next very crucial part comes in. Releasing, first of all, because you will notice that when we look at the photos, well, we're going to go over it, but you'll notice that the corrected looks a certain way, and I'm going to go over it with you because of the tight muscles. And so they must be released. Otherwise, in life, in your workout, in whatever, just walking around, life is a workout. Then you're kind of exasperating the problem because of the tight muscles and the posture. So releasing is super, super important. We release all the hot spots, and sometimes there's specific ones that you need specifically, just because the way your lifestyle is, or your body is presenting itself. And then from there, we have to strength train the body. It's basic stuff that I use. So your basic squats, deadlifts, push-ups. Now, don't let that scare you, because these done correctly with the foundations in mind, knowing exactly how it works, which I have the explanation on every single one, including how you incorporate the foundation. So the breath, the alignment, the muscular engagement, all the parts, like it will be very well versed in it. That's how we now change the body, so that like Elaine's picture, or even the first picture I showed you, Jana's, right? Like, it starts to change. That is her new natural posture. She's not forcing it. She's not going like this, oh, and then oh, because we know that's impossible. We don't have the time for that. Like no one is sitting around with nothing to do but to think about their posture all day. Like literally no one, right? Even if you're retired, you're still, it's still, you can't do it. But so that's why we strengthen it so that when you stand up, it's not something you think about. The posture is just there, the hip, the diaphragm, the shoulders, whatever needs to be fixed, we've focused on it, we fixed it. And then this is the cool part. Now, as you live your life, you go downstairs, you make your coffee, you make dinner, you do whatever you're doing. You're a teacher, you're taking care of, you're doing teaching, you're an office worker, it doesn't matter. Once that posture is there, now we have a direct passageway with our core. So now every single breath you take without thinking about it, that's the key, you guys. It's like your heart rate. If we had to think about our heart beating and making it beat, we'd all be dead, right? Or if we had to think about breathing, same thing. So without thinking about it, that's what we're trying to get to, because that's what's going to work. Forcing yourself to do something won't. You know that. You've done it already. I'm sure of it. So once we have that posture fixed, now as you're walking, like me here right now, every single breath, that relax, contract is happening. So if all of a sudden, like my dog is laying down on the ground here, all of a sudden he jumps up or I don't know, lunges at me or something, my pelvic floor is ready and I can go. And it's not an issue, my core just kicks in because it's been working the other 20 hours of today and yesterday and the day before. You get the idea. So that is the missing link. That is what people don't understand. It's not, yes, I want you to strength train. I'm a gigantic advocate of it. Of course, I'm a strength training coach. But it's the whole picture. It's relearning, reteaching, the body, the breathing, understanding what alignment actually is and how does it present in your body. How do the tight muscles present in your body? Let's look at that so that you know. So when you get to the gym or your basement or wherever, living room, wherever you're working out, you know what you are addressing because we went over it in detail. And so now we're releasing, now when you work out, you know what to think about to make that change, right? Because there is intention involved in strength training in general, but especially when we do something like this. Now, let me just say something that I haven't said. I'm almost done. One other thing that happens, so with that first posture that I showed you where the girl was out like this, all the organs are also laying forward, right? So the bladder is being pushed against the pubic bone. So that's causing havoc because what we want is we want an active pelvic floor, and then we want the organs like this doing their job, right? So the pelvic floor is active enough so that it can hold your organs in your body. It can keep you continent and all, right? And then when that's happening, the back is protected and the front is protected also. But ours, we have that turned out pelvis, not ours, sorry. What could be happening, you have that turned out pelvis and all the organs are down. Let's say you've now also had hysterectomy, which, chances are one person at least here has, because it's very common. So now there's 1 or 2 or 3 organs been removed. So space, tilted, squashing, extra space, weak pelvic floor, like that's how it layers. But there's one more very important part. And that's why this is such a godsend. Because when you are in these two postures, so this one, or this one, or this one, or whatever's happening, your muscles have to, so this is a have to situation, tighten all around here. And for the pelvis, it's tightening all around. It has to, because the pelvis, instead of being neutral, is either like this. Muscles, they're not comfortable. Like they have to kick in and help out or try to keep you safe. Unfortunately, it's at your detriment, but this is what the body does, what it has to do. And it chooses the path of least resistance too. So all these muscles now are tight. So that's what's happening to the pelvic floor. It's tightened, and the hip too, and the psoas all over, trying to keep some kind of safety here. Or if your pelvis is under, same deal. That's where tight pelvic floors are coming from. Pelvic floor spasms are the next thing. Vulvodynia are the next thing. You know, things like that. We get into pudendal nerve, and these things, some of you have been diagnosed with that, and you think you're just unlucky, or it's like a scary term, you don't fully understand it. And so now you think maybe you have like a disease or something like that, but you don't. It's literally your posture that's causing the muscles to tighten. And then because you're a human being, you're not just lying down all day, you're cooking and walking your dog and working and taking care of children, grandchildren, whatever. So activity, right, on those tight muscles, and then the problem layers. So literally what I do with people is foolproof, because we follow this exact system. It's not magical. It's not some crazy thing that's like, let's go jump on one leg on the Bosu or some crazy thing. It's not, you know, it's very logical, thought out, intentional training with our attention on these things that I'm mentioning, and the body changes. Like I could show you picture after picture after picture, and success after success. And in my group, you know, I have tons of them, people who are willing. Not everybody is, because it's also a private matter, right? But so that's what's happening here. That's what people don't understand. Like people will say to me, well, Nicole, like, yeah, I already strength train. I have this program. And I'm like, okay, no, that's good. Like I can't, like, I'm an advocate of that. But they also say, but I have really bad back pain, or I have these spasms that just won't go away. Some days it's so painful, I cannot work. Think about the financial loss with that too. Not to mention mental loss and just lifestyle, like happiness loss. Like you can't put a price on that. But that's it, right? People are like, yeah, I have these spasms. I have really bad back pain. I have prolapse. I have, and then they explain, you know, the prolapse and how it's getting worse and it doesn't feel good, blah, blah, blah. Or they have leaking, or they have hip pain, or they have, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. UTIs are so big. You get a UTI and it happens consistently. And this is what my clients are saying. They'll say, yeah, I've had UTIs like every month. And when they go and get it tested at the doctors, the tests are negative. So that she doesn't have a UTI, but yet she has the pain. What is that? That is, it fits here. Because you know why I know that? Because I can logically think with the body going from tight muscles to now feeling, you know, all these other things. But the main thing is because we fix it. Like the woman will come back after the program is done or halfway through, and she'll say, my back pain is gone. And she'll say, like, you know, I used to have monthly UTIs. I haven't had a UTI, and she'll say 3 months, or, you know, because that's the amount of time that she's been doing the program. And it's like, when you're doing the program, it's not even like you're perfect right from day one, because we got to learn, right? But it's even imperfect. People are getting crazy results. But fitness is like this, right? You start and you learn and you change, and then you continue to learn and change. Like I continue to strengthen too. Just like everybody, just like I advocate everybody else to do. So does anybody here have a question? Was there something that you're not sure about? You can just actually unmute, because we're not a giant group, and then I can answer a couple of questions. I was pretty thorough, wasn't I? Yeah, Shushma was saying, can you guys see it if you look at the waistband of her pants? This is a way that, you know, you can see it because the waistband, it is angled, because that's essentially what's happening. When that pelvis is turned out like that, it's like a pouring out, right? It's that idea. So yeah, you can see it all leaning forward. So here's what we're going to do, Diane. That's awesome. Let's have a conversation. We can talk tonight if you want. Shushma is actually going to put my booking calendar link. Shushma, would you mind doing that? Do you have that handy? Okay, cool. She's going to put in the chat for me. This is just a no pressure chat. If we've chatted already, then it's shorter because, you know, we've gone through all the stuff already. I want to do the posture assessment for you. So those 2 pictures, if you send them ahead of time, and all you do is you go on your phone, like if you have someone to take it for you, great. But if not, no big deal. You just go to your phone, go to photos, and then put it on timer, prop your phone up, you know, like this, put it against something, prop it up, and on timer, do the 2 photos. It doesn't have to be pretty. It doesn't have to be, you know, in some kind of special studio. It's just rough. Let's get it done. Because we're changing lives here so that you can have your life the way you wanted it to be. I know, because I know a lot of you actually, and you're not the person that just wants to be like this forever. You want a solution. You want to be active. You want to do things with your friends, for yourself, trips, you know, things like that. So that's the kind of person that I like to help, and we do it quickly, quickly and fun. So last thing I will say is,
Sorry, I'm gonna jump in.
do it, jump.
Jean has a question about prolapse in the chat.
Perfect. Thank you, Shushma. Let me look. I have prolapse bladder. Can these exercises help this? So yes. Let me just reiterate again, because I know that this is very difficult because you've never heard it like this before. So it's difficult so it's good if I explain it, you know, as many ways as possible. So remember when I said, when that breath can't go down and the pelvic floor is like this, right? And then also you have the tight muscles, and then also you have the organs lying down either way. So you have layered things happening. So that's how prolapse happens too, because pelvic floor is like this. And then you have organs that are not working either, right? So and then now things are weak. So they start descending down. There is this weakness, right? And if you're a person who's never strength trained, I'm telling you, number one, your body is going to respond so quickly. Your body is going to be like, like it's going to be like water that it hasn't had in months. But on top of that, that's part of the problem, right? Because if you've never strength trained, you have all these things, but plus the body is deteriorating slowly. So if your posture is kind of like this, like as you age, it'll just go this. And you know what? You can try this at home too, Jean. But this helps everybody. If you're in that position, you can feel how the core is not activated. It's just loose. So that's what's causing prolapse. So long way to answer your question. Yes, 1,000,000%. Now I am going to say prolapse is like when it's a little bit harder than leaking, because it's like the next problem. But here's the thing. It doesn't matter how deep the problem is. Like I work with very complicated cases, and then it just takes what it takes, because the alternative is you leave it. And that is not really a good alternative, because nothing stays the same. Like it'll get worse, right? So it's crucial that every single person actually strength trains and get this organized. It's like, it's your lifestyle, the rest of your life. Like for me, there's just nothing more important than organizing your body, because you learn it. It's like Tamara, the first story I told you, the one I was talking, you know, I couldn't sit. she did the program and then she went on her merry way and she's still applying it. Right. So it's like, it's not, you can continue training with us. Of course, I have continuation programs, but you don't have to, right? It's like a one-time thing. Learn it, make it, it becomes yours as your body changes too. And you take that with you into any program you want in the future, you know? So that was a long way to answer Jean's question, wasn't it? Oh my goodness. Can these exercises help this? Yes. I could have just said yes, but then it wouldn't have been as good. So yeah, last thing I will say is that I'm always trying to improve. Delivery, supporting people, them getting results guaranteed is my top priority. This is not a thing about, oh, you buy a program and like, thanks a lot, see you never. I'm very active and always thinking of ways to improve. So I am going to be doing this beta group. Like this is going to be my first cohort that we're going to do together. It's going to start November 6th. And I'm pretty sure it's going to be really successful. And so I want it's being offered at a discounted rate so that I want to get tons of success stories, because I probably will change and start delivering with these cohorts, because I think it'll be more supportive, more care, more troubleshooting, more customization, you know, and then just make things happen for you quicker. So this is happening. I am doing this starting not this week, but next week, November 6th. Well, it'll start on a Tuesday. So get your posture photos. If you want, hook up a call with me and we can assess your posture, and then we can also discuss some of these other details of things and see what would best serve you. And then we'll go from there, because the photos will tell us, what you tell me will tell us, and then we'll know better if this is the correct path for you or not. Does that make sense? Awesome. For people with the replay, the Calendly link and all this information is on the email that you got the replay on. So I'm super happy you guys came on a Sunday night, because you didn't let me do this all by myself, because that wouldn't have been as fun. And you know, I hope to see some of you on the other side. And let's do this. Good night, everybody. Thanks for coming. Thanks for your help, Shushma. You're awesome.
Nice. Thank you.
Thanks, Nicole. Thanks for everything.
Hi. You're welcome. Bye, guys.